Mohammed Al-Ali, you live and work in Kuwait, but your investment is in Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia. Why Abu Dhabi and not Dubai, which we sort of hear more about?
Thank you for the question. We are one of the leading Islamic asset managers in Kuwait, and we do have only real estate structured products for Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi. We do have other finer investments and other asset classes beside real estate in other countries of the world, but within real estate in this region, we're focusing on Saudi and Abu Dhabi. And the reason behind this, and why not Dubai, as you had mentioned, even though Dubai might be more on the world map, might be a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of the real estate, is that when we first decided to consider going into real estate, and Abu Dhabi was actually our first product to our investors, we searched in the Gulf and we saw areas that fundamentally lacked proper supply of products, that still had considerable demand that was unmet, and in terms of sensitivities to various crises. I don't want to sound like looking back at this crisis with hindsight, but maybe not the financial crisis, but political risk, support and growth factor. We saw that Abu Dhabi and Saudi Arabia was way behind in terms of development. It still had to take that strong growth in any curve that it starts before the stabilization. Dubai, on the other hand, had witnessed a beautiful 7-9 year of unprecedented growth. So we felt we were a little bit behind coming into the market at the time. It was a pure timing and a little bit of doing our homework that helped us there. And that's why we decided to come into Abu Dhabi, and we were very successful launch in terms of timing. We managed to close a 560 million dirham product for Abu Dhabi proper, and proud to say it's still the only product to target Abu Dhabi proper, not only in the free zones of Abu Dhabi. As for Saudi Arabia, we structured a brand new company called Saudi Projects Holding Company, which was the last company to raise private equity in Kuwait, and we closed at 20 million KD, which is about 55-60 million, but that was in November of 2008. After that time, we took a year off given the current turmoil, and we just started to invest that money now.
So you're getting back into investment now?
Yes, we were very lucky with Saudi Arabia that we raised the money right at the crash, but then we slept on the money for about a year, and we just started to come in now.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about the Abu Dhabi project, the big one?
Sure. That was it was launched in December 2007, and it was closed 2 weeks later, and that's just an example of the good days. 560 million, we had to turn people back.
But what is it exactly?
It's a real estate portfolio, and the flavor during that time where the money was most were the real estate trading. And real estate land trading, we're not talking about any developmental risk, so it was a very low risk product. It was a relatively short-term private equity investment, so it wasn't the 5-year, 7-year, it was a 3-year with 1-year extension. So people and investors were happy with the term of that, and it was the first product to actually allow GCC and other investors to come into the closed market of Abu Dhabi. And I'm not talking about Reem Island, I'm not talking about Raha Beach Gardens that are open to international investors. I'm talking about Mohammed bin Zayed, Khalifa Alif, Khalifa Ba, New Capital District, and Musaffah, and the island of Abu Dhabi itself, where the cream of Abu Dhabi real estate is.
You said that your company deals with Islamic finance.
Correct.
How does that differ from
traditional
non-Islamic finance?
It's very simple. We have a Sharia board. It's just like another layer in filtering of our projects and of our products. They have to abide by Sharia principles in all of our transactions. So the contracts for our investors, the contracts in purchasing and selling, the leverage, Islamic has to be Islamic finance. All our undertakings and transactions have to be Sharia compliant. For those who are not familiar with that, one of the most important and problematic areas that we face, for example, is we cannot take traditional debt. we have to take either sukuk or murabahas or Islamic finance, which is a way of profit sharing rather than a debt and liability and covenants and what have you. I'll give you another small example from our contracts with investors. For example, in real estate, if we have a defaulting investor, and traditionally you would just take it away. You would take the asset and you have full authority to sell it at $1. Islamically, you cannot do that. You cannot take advantage of a defaulted investor. Therefore, you cannot say, fine, if you do not repay your capital call within a month's time, I will charge you shark loan interest of 20% or what have you. And if you don't pay in 2 months, I will charge you 40%. And then I will take you to court, and I will not only take your asset, but I will also sue you. Unfortunately, you cannot deal that way Islamically. You have to find other covenants and means that are more fair and just.
Can you give an example? I mean, what does that mean, really?
Sure. You have to, for example, take it to you have to give an interest-free period to repay. Interest-free. You cannot take advantage, or you cannot take more just because he has defaulted. Second thing, you have to put, therefore you have to put considerable insurance upon that if they should default. And finally, what we have structured for our real estate products, if they do not pay after this grace period, we have to take it to a auction where it is sold. And we had considerable resistance from our Sharia board in taking it to auction, that we had to provide a bottom for that auction where, say they paid 30% down payment, they cannot get wiped out and take $1, for example, out of that. There had to be a certain floor to that.